So my first question for you, Coach, is your two-time Conference USA Coach of the Year, your former SEC Coach of the Year. You coached the first freshman to win the Heisman Trophy. Why did you want the challenge of being a professional coach in the USFL?
Well, I think whatever you do, right? Whatever your trade, profession, your craft is, ultimately you want to be at the highest level, and to take the next step into a professional football situation for me was exciting. It is exciting, and it's the whole thing now. Which is really different for us is the fact that you're building this thing from the ground up. 45 new players, but we've got all kinds of different guys, and the draft process has been incredible. Our assistant coaches doing evaluations. Bob Morris, our team director, who's given us the real leadership in to create a draft process that has been to our liking. And a little bit like college football, your evaluations are your evaluations. They're not everybody else's evaluations. So we walked away from the original draft feeling really, really good about where we were with our original guys out of those 35 rounds. And then, what we've got to do is close this thing out with the supplemental draft with 10 more guys that can make an impact immediately, because, with a limited roster, I think the big deal is all these guys want the opportunity, number one, and then number two, they want to play. And, they've expressed their excitement being able to do that. And we're excited to be able to get back in there and coach them and get them, get this team going.
I want to remind the audience that you and I are speaking just a couple of days before the supplemental draft. And by the time that they see this, you will have gone through those 10 rounds and selected more players. So I'm going to ask you, what is it that you're looking for in those 10 rounds? Because unlike the inaugural draft, you get to just choose guys, right? You don't have to go by position. If you wanted to get 10 tailbacks, you can get 10 tailbacks. So what are you looking to round out your 45-man roster, your 38-man active roster going into training camp March 21st?
It's a great question. And it's even greater because we just had a staff meeting about this. And, Bob Morris, as I said, has given us a lot of direction. The first 35 guys, the first 35 rounds were basically by position. And so, to now what you're looking for in the supplemental is to completely to fill your roster with all the holes that may be there. Right now, we don't have a lot of them, but we had a strategy for the original draft, particularly with the big guys up front on defense and offense, and then to fill in those holes at this point is our number one priority. And going into our evaluations are going to be basically about two things. Number one, where do they fit in our program? Where do we fill the holes that we had? And then number two, are there dynamic players out there or any kind of difference makers that can actually change your team, just make your team better? And so obviously there's a positional need still with only 35 guys on your team right now. So to fill those holes, create depth at some of those positions, and then any impact players out there that we think that can be difference makers that have come into the supplemental draft.
I wonder about your staff in particular, because of all the staffs, I haven't got to know yours as closely as I have some others. So what are you looking for, or what did you look for, and who did you hire at offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams, your position coaches?
Well, Tim Lewis has been a long-time NFL coach, has been a head coach in some of the spring leagues. He's our defensive coordinator, obviously experienced from his time from the Steelers and other and in the National Football League, and being a head coach. So he was an extremely important hire for us. I think everybody knows that on offense, a lot of guys that I'm familiar with. You being an Oklahoma guy, we hired J.D. Runnels as coaching our running backs, who was a heck of a player at Oklahoma. As a young guy doing a really good job right now, and really from a computer standpoint and from a personnel standpoint, the communication, he's been awesome. So a lot of our guys on our staff, Mark Snyder, who's a longtime college coach, defensive coordinator, was with me even at A&M. You know, it's been kind of interesting him blending in there. We probably got a few more college guys in some other places, some other teams around the league, and some guys that have NFL experience as players. Ty Warren is our defensive line coach, and if nothing else, you know, he's a really good coach, but he's got a lot of years of experience, and he's big enough if something happens, he can get things handled for the rest of us. So he still looks like he can play. You know, it's going to be a great opportunity for him and offense with me and really an old school special teams coordinator who's just a wealth of knowledge, and Greg McMahon, who was with the Saints for a long time, LSU. For special teams, that's really going to help us. And offensive line wise, Gordy Shaw, really the elderly statesman on the staff, years at Minnesota, years across the country, and a lot of experience in offensive line play. And David Beatty is coaching our wide receivers. He was with us as you talked about with Mike Evans and a lot of guys at A&M, and was a head coach at Kansas. So a lot of experience at different levels, and a lot of different personalities. But I think one of the big things that I've noticed is because of really the climate of what's happened in during the pandemic, the ability to communicate just like we're doing right now is not foreign to everybody. And so we've been able to have really valuable staff meetings. We did have a get together as a staff, but have really valuable staff meetings going into the draft, and also in preparation for camp that's coming up real quick.
Thanks for watching this video, and remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 Ranked Show YouTube channel.